Good morning and welcome. This is Megan Mansfield from Accordant Company. Thank you for joining us today for Accordant's Sage Intacct Construction Overview webinar. We are excited to show you the latest from Sage's cloud-native next-generation platform called Intacct and the ways that this platform can add value to your business. Our subject matter today is Bob Sandlins from Accordant Company, and he will be demonstrating the software platform. Before we get started, I want to address a few housekeeping items. Everyone is muted for a clean listening experience. If you have any questions, please type them into the questions box. We will collect the questions after the webinar has concluded and address your questions individually via follow-up correspondence. For the best viewing experience, please maximize your screen. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be provided via email. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Bob.
Thank you, Megan, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our review of the modern cloud solution, Sage Intacct Construction. By way of introduction, here's my contact information. I've worked with many of you over the years, so hello if we've not chatted in a while. Today's agenda, we're going to start with I promise, a short slide deck with some Intacct highlights, then spend most of our time together live in the software with a particular focus on dashboards and how interactive the dashboards are, very different than perhaps the way you look at data today. Second, we're going to look at the UI and UX, and that relates to the user experience and interface of the products. In other words, the look and feel. And then, and obviously, in a modern cloud product, you would expect, I hope, ease of use. And you really should consider that paramount in any kind of future next-gen product. Then we'll walk through some workflows for you to see how you can save time by more efficient processes. And we'll be pretty specific in that as well. And of course, for a deeper dive, just email or call us and we'll set up a personal demonstration for each of you. For those of you new to Accordant, we're a Sage business partner with a technology focus on construction and real estate and service-based companies. We support now thousands of clients. We have a deep bench of more than 45 certified consultants that are certainly ready to assist either in a new deployment or any existing needs with Sage 100, Sage 300, or Acumatica. Many of you attending this session are either using Sage 100 Contractor or Sage 300 CRE. And perhaps that's on a local on-premise server or even cloud hosted. So the number one thing is for everyone to know on this call is that Sage is committed to ongoing development of both of these products for years to come. They're the most widely used products in our industry. In either on-premise or on server or on a cloud server, you're protected for the use of that application for years. Sage Intacct Construction is a next-gen state-of-the-art product built natively for the cloud. So it's not like a cloud-hosted product, perhaps like 100 or 300 could be. It's a true multi-tenant SaaS, which means software as a service solution. Sage Intacct has currently more than 17,000 customers. Sage Intacct is the first and only preferred provider of the AI CPA, the only software publisher to have earned this endorsement. Intacct is the undisputed leader in customer satisfaction, as evidenced by a rating of 98 out of 100 on a G2 Crowd review. Intacct is also the leader in innovation, recognized as a visionary by industry analyst Gartner. Sage Intacct Construction provides workflows with a rock-solid financial core, increasing your efficiency in use and producing cost savings. As a best-in-class financial management solution, Sage Intacct was built from the ground up to integrate with other best-in-class solutions. Open APIs, application program interfaces, and API make interacting with data not only possible, but relatively simple today. And Intacct dashboards are interactive and real-time. Sage Intacct has 4 releases a year, and I'll share more about that when we jump into the software. The updates are rolled out to all users the 3rd Saturday of February, May, August, and November. Certainly an advantage to SaaS software over a client server application, perhaps like Sage 100, 300, or others. Here's a list of some of the Sage Intacct marketplace partners that some of you might be using today. All of these partners offer an API level integration to Sage Intacct. An API integration means that we're not exporting data from one application and importing that to another, but rather on an approved transaction or entry, it posts from perhaps Procore directly into Sage Intacct. Some of the highlights of products that are in our industry: Sage Service Operations or Field Operations integrates with Sage Intacct. TimberScan came out with a new product called Titanium, web-based product that integrates real-time with Sage Intacct. Procore, obviously for project management. HH2, for those of you that are using HH2 for time capture, or perhaps even for document flow. Service Trade and BuildOps on field service management, leaders in our industry using APIs to connect real time with Sage Intacct. And then some of you are using products like GC Pay or Textura, both integrated with Sage Intacct. And obviously up the top middle, ADP, Paychex, Workforce Go. Now, I'm going to not announce, but share with you an update on the Sage Intacct construction payroll module that's just come out. And by the way, some of the add-on products that you may be using today with Sage 100, 300, or other products like Print Boss or Create a Check for Maker check printing, My Assistant for alerts, and Office Connector or Liberty Reports for Excel integrations are no longer needed, built-in components within the application. So let's together jump into the software. I'm anxious to share this with everyone. And again, please, if you'd like to have a personalized demonstration specific to your company's needs, just let us know and we'll be happy to schedule one for you. So everyone should now see Sage Intacct Construction. Now I've opened up a few different sessions. So if you notice, I'll move from one dashboard to another dashboard just to share with you how data is presented. But when you log into Sage Intacct, this web-based platform, users are presented perhaps with a customized dashboard. Dashboards provide financial and operational data or reports, along with performance cards. Performance cards are represented on this particular screen by revenue, G&A, and gross profit. Now, performance cards highlight key metrics to make it easy to see how your organization is performing at a glance. And I'll show you some examples. These are 3 basic ones, but you'll see some others in just a bit. Dashboards can be role-centric or personalized to individual reporting requirements. And we'll jump in here in just a second. A few other just highlights just to orient you to what you're looking at. If you notice on the top of the screen to the right of Sage Intacct Accordant Demo, it says top level. That represents a view of all entities below. So in this one environment, I have multiple entities represented by Texas, Maine, Architectural Engineering Company, New Jersey, South Carolina. These could be companies. So if you click on one of these, it would open up that company and you could work within it. Security is by company as well, unlike 300 or 100, where you really can't lock down individual users by company unless they're in separate data folders. We fixed that. So when you're looking at a dashboard like this one, notice that I'm looking at a rolled up or consolidated view across companies. If you wanted to just look at one company, you could pick that off a filter and now apply that filter being a specific entity. And now you're looking at a re-rendered dashboard specific to that one company, or perhaps a different company. So it's that fast to re-render. And by the way, all the data you see on any dashboard we viewed this morning is all real time. So I happen to be looking at it as of 12/31, but normally it'd be as of today. I just happen to have all my data then. You can also take companies or groups of divisions and group them together. So I've created a group called the North region, and why I have attached both Texas and Maine to that group is another comment. But now I'm looking at those two companies together, or perhaps I'm just going to roll back and look at all companies. So you're going to see this same attribute filtering on entities at perhaps a job level, or by project manager, or by job type. So we'll share that in a minute. Now, notice this dashboard, there are 3 cards up top. If you click on a performance card, it drills into the detail of what makes that performance card. Now, in my demo, I said, hey, show me my G&A for the current month, and then compare that to the prior month. The comparative could be year to date versus last year, or year to date versus budget year to date. And then I hope everybody's thinking, well, that's good, Bob, but if there's a problem, I want to be able to drill down to transactions to see perhaps what contributed to that budget variance. And by the way, notice the red frown face, that's a trending indicator on that performance card. In other words, the comparison, is it up or down? Now, if you click on that 87.75, you're drilling down into transactions that make up that account balance. And then everybody wants, well, that's good, but click on the $1,200. And now here's the AP bill. Now, $1,200 was for that specific company, but for that specific company I was looking at, but it was actually charged to multiple companies. Now, I'm not advocating that we pay bills from dashboard drill downs on performance cards, but notice that on that drill down, you could, security permitting, of course, pay it or edit it or create a duplicate of that bill or look at notes or some history on it. So I'll just go ahead and just for fun, click pay. And from a dashboard performance card with one click, we could pay the bill. Now, again, I'm not advocating you're paying bills this way. It's easier. By the way, I'm going to highlight it now, but I'll mention it again later. Notice that we have action buttons on all the screens we open up together. That just helps you, hey, what can we do from this one screen based on, again, security permissions. All right, so let's just close that. I'll shut down that view. And notice the income statement to the right. Now, this might be just a singular entity statement, or it could be a divisional statement, or in my sample, I've got multiple companies. With one click, you could, that magnifier, you could open up that report full screen. And then from here, perhaps drill down again onto the transaction detail, right down to the actual entry screen. Notice up top, for those of you using Liberty Reports or Office Connector, notice that there's an Excel button right on that income statement. And notice it just opened up that report in Excel. There it is, nice and clean. We don't need a third-party product now to drop a report or a dashboard view into Excel. Obviously, you could email it as well. So I'll just close that down. Let me just talk about, some of you might be thinking, yeah, that's okay, Bob, but I really want that report to look different perhaps than how it's displayed. So I've opened up, because I have security to do it, I opened up clicking on that little pencil or edit, the ability to now modify that report, either the rows, the columns that are displayed. Perhaps we want to add a column after the column that we're viewing, or perhaps change formatting or filters. So highly configurable, will help you with that. Now this dashboard has, again, an income statement, a balance sheet, a cash flow statement, all with drill downs. Let's now turn our attention to another view of information. This one I think you're going to like because this one now has more performance cards, all with drill downs. It has a project budget versus actuals view of data. So now we're looking at all the different types of work that we have with what? Drill downs to detail. So wherever you see blue on a report on a dashboard, that's a hyperlink to transaction detail. The columns that are black are what? Calculated columns. So it wouldn't naturally be a drill down. Now, again, we could open this up full screen, drop it out to Excel, or just email it to somebody. Now, I'll talk about in a minute, we're going to filter this by job type. But first, let's just roll down. Dashboards have reports, bar graphs, pie charts, line graphs, all with drill downs. And all of these are configurable. So here's a WIP report by project type. I have another dashboard, a CFO board, that shows it by project manager. And again, you don't have to open it up full screen. If your preference is just to view right in that window, you could do that. By the way, these windows could be 3 across, 1 across like this display of data here, or 2 across. Let's just roll down this dashboard a little bit. What else is in here? And this is just what I put into my favorites. But notice I've got this job, it's a job selector. And by the way, I could change the filter and change what jobs are available here. But somebody might be saying, well, it would be really nice if, like what we have on a financial statement, we could drill down to more of an operational report. So this, again, is just a report I put on my dashboard called a commitment log by detail, and it's looking at every vendor in the commitment, the purchase order subcontract that's been issued, with a recap of not just the original, but changes, what invoices have been posted, and what's been paid. Now, some of you might be thinking that's good, but would you please drill down on a specific purchase order or contract and show me the detail? And so we clicked on that one subcontract document, and now you're looking at the actual document and its entry form. Happened to be just a one-line schedule values with a subcontractor or a material supplier. You from there could look at change documents with hyperlinks to the change order that was entered, as well as pending. And if you click on the history button right there or tab, look below, we have access to transactions, the actual documents that all relate to this one contract. So let's go ahead and click on that invoice. And now we've gone from a dashboard view to a list of commitments to the detail on that commitment, and now down to the AP bill with the ability, if you have security, to edit that. Now, think about that. In the current systems that are in play today, that's 3 or 4 different screens you would have had to go to, or reports. And by the way, just notice every screen, and I'll talk more about the UI in a little bit, very easy navigation. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that. And let's just go back to that one view again. So we just drilled down on this report. By the way, we could have blown it up full screen and then done the same thing. Notice over to the left, I happen to have an accounts payable by aging, by job. And then below that, accounts receivable. Let's blow that up. This is an accounts receivable by job, aged, with the invoices aged across the middle, and then all the way over to the right, all the retainage being held by invoice. And like that last report, somebody might be thinking that's good, but drill in on that invoice because I need to see what that customer invoice is, because I've got them perhaps on the phone and they lost the bill or never got it. So you could just email it again right from here. Again, security permitting, you could edit it. Notice that duplicate, you can duplicate or copy like bank accounts, vendors, customers, jobs, budgets, purchase orders, requisitions. Copy from or duplicate, you'll see throughout the application. Now, again, I'm not advocating you pay bills or apply receipts from a dashboard view, but Notice I could click apply, takes me right to the receive payment screen and record the payment, maybe from a ACH or a wire. One other attribute, if we just close that, I'll close that down. When you drill down into an invoice, let me just go back in. So I'm just clicking on it again. In a minute, I'm going to talk about Collaborate, and it's a component within Sage that everyone receives with their provisioning of their environment. And Collaborate is a way for you to track either internal conversations or threads on a transaction, perhaps a collection call, perhaps an email from a CPA on your CPA for recording a journal entry. So throughout the application, whether it's a specific invoice, notice below, we could correspond with others in your organization. And when you do that, by the way, they receive an email with a hyperlink. They can click on it and get right to that transaction. Now, I'll show you in a little bit how you could just, when you log in, have access to those, all the open questions that are perhaps in my court. But you would see here conversation threads with multiple people within your organization, as well as the ability to just drag and drop emails into anything, transaction, a change order, a job, vendor, customer. Okay, so so that's a little bit about that one dashboard. And all we did was we drilled down into a report full screen. I'll just close that down. One other attribute I want to share with everybody, like the filters, which are dimensions inside Sage Intacct, and groups, those are all filters. So we could filter this and see, hey, let me just see a specific vendor or customer across all the jobs. Or let's go by job and let's only look at commercial projects. And now I'm filtering that dashboard down to a specific job type or project manager. So a powerful way to access and look at information. One other dashboard I want to just share real quick, and then we'll move on to some of the other highlights. Notice this CFO dashboard. Now I'm looking at a WIP by entity as opposed to a project manager or by job type. And notice a whole different set of KPIs or performance cards up top. So dashboards, again, utilize the power of Intacct dimensions for filters. You can tag transactions with those attributes, then slice and dice that data here in a dashboard. The filters are customizable. Think of them as ad hoc searches. And then performance cards up top to track key performance indicators. And each of you might have a whole different set of what things are relevant in your company that you need to monitor. And again, either count groups or job groups for quick consolidations, and drill down everywhere. So Intacct dashboards are powerful, flexible, incredibly intuitive, providing visibility real time. And again, real time is the operative word, right down to transactions. So now let's just look at some of the user interface and experience of working with the software. And to do that, I'm just going to switch to instead, and I'm going to review the applications, but I just want to switch to a home screen. And on this home screen, you'll see that it shares, or it's noting that we're on release 4. One click, we can get into all of the release notes of the latest update. Now, the payroll application was released in early adopter in November. Sage estimating integration is now part of it, and some other capabilities within the construction, which I can't get through right now. But notice as well, there's videos available. And then, by the way, on videos, if we go into the Help Center within Sage Intacct, notice that this screen opens up and we have access to release notes, training guides, support, a community for Q&A. And even if I click on the library of videos, here are all the videos that accompany the product that you can run anytime you want to learn more about a specific application or features within the application. So great access to information, what's coming, the release schedule, by the way. I don't know if anyone caught this, but there's a calendar of releases. So these are the dates when the releases are coming out. Okay, so we have a lot more to cover, so I'm gonna move away from that, and let's move into what's just some general capabilities of the applications. And a couple things I want to highlight: smart rules, smart events, custom fields, and printed document templates. Now, what's a smart rule? A smart rule, and these are system-wide capabilities throughout the application. So a smart rule, think of it as this. If you're in an AP bill entry screen like this, and somebody chooses perhaps to change a field or key a value into a specific field on an object being the AP bill screen, you can put think of it as a guardrail on any field, on any screen for any user to limit what they can or can't do. That's an example of a smart rule. It's a corridor to a specific field on a screen. A smart event, for those of you with Sage 300, there's an application called My Assistant. A smart event is just that, but a little more power. Smart event allows you to automate notifications, perhaps to a customer on an invoice that's over 30 days, or a vendor on an insurance that's expiring. Or perhaps a smart event looks at data, perhaps a G&A for the prior month, and does a trigger entry to automatically create a transaction allocation across your divisions. So smart events can send information or notify people of things, internal, external, but also create transaction entries. Custom fields. In the legacy products, I say legacy for 100, 300, you can add custom fields, but within Sage Intacct, we can add custom fields to any screen, which means, well, maybe if I go to a vendor screen real quick, and I click and add a vendor or edit a vendor, notice that these fields right here are in my demo environment. These fields I set up specific for, hey, every vendor, I want these 4 fields here. You might add fields to any one of these tabs, or you could even add custom tabs. That's throughout the application. It's not just master files. Any transaction entry screen, an AP bill, a journal entry, a purchase order. Let's just open up a purchase order screen. So our purchase order screen might include custom fields here. I added 2, a sample and a special date on the purchase order. Now, custom fields could be down on the distribution or on any screen. So why would you do this? Well, we want to get rid of the Excel spreadsheets and other databases you're using to track information. We should have it all in one place and then use the reporting tools to view data or filter on data. So custom fields, popular attribute within Sage Intacct, available everywhere. I want to talk about printed document templates for just a minute too. So many of you have created custom AIA bills or purchase order documents or subcontract change order documents. The enhancement in delivering documents to you now is way different than what we do in the older products. So just by example, I'm going to go into this AIA billing document. I'm going to open up the template in which created that form. Notice it opened up a word merge template. So if I click open to open up that file, here is the AIA billing template that is delivered out of the box. You could edit this, save it as AIA billing document 2, or if you work for a specific GC that might have some format, we'd have maybe their name on it. So there's the G702, G703. Now, real quick, just by example, I opened up the AIA, but maybe we want to look at the change request document. Not the change order, but the change request that precedes a change order. So all these documents are configurable or customized by you or by us for you. Maybe we'll teach you how to fish, and once you've got the hang of it, you modify the document yourself instead of having to build custom crystal reports. One other, somebody might be thinking that's great, but then how do we attach the document to as a default? So if we just, by example, look at customers, and let's just edit a customer real quick. And when we look at a customer, sorry, I clicked on it twice real quick, just click once. Notice the additional information tab right here. Down below, printed document templates specific to this customer. I'm going to pick maybe that modified AIA version. So then every job you have with that client, we would grab the template right from here as a default. So again, Smart rules, smart events, custom fields, printed documents, all standard in the application, offering tremendous flexibility and configuration of the software. We can also, for you, build applications within the platform with menus, specific things that perhaps you're tracking in separate portals outside of Sage products or other products. All right, one other thing I just want to highlight real quick, the reports. So obviously there's dashboards. Some of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to have to go to a dashboard. I just want a report, perhaps a cash balance report delivered to somebody on some predetermined schedule. So we can push out reports automatically without having to have someone log in from an iPad to view the data, but obviously they can. All right, so a couple more things. Notice on the top right, my name is Bob Sandlins or R. Sandlins. I have specific preferences. I'm going to go through this real quick just to get into some of the workflow as well. But security preferences. So because this is a native cloud solution, when you log in, you're going to likely turn on MFA, multi-factor authentication, with IP address filtering if you choose. So only users that have security to log in can and will be required to key that code. But even then, once you've logged in, what's your preference for how long you want before a system automatically logs you out? Each of you logging into Sage Intacct will have very specific configurations as to how you want the software to behave. Like if you turn workflow on in accounts payable for invoice routing and approvals, do you want to see them every individual transaction separately, or do you want them grouped together? When you leave screens and you don't finish a screen, do you want pop-ups to remind you? When you log in, where do you want to log into? So what are your appearances or preferences on the appearance of the software? Do you like to hover or click? When you see pages, how many lines do you want to be presented with? Each person could have different preferences. So you're configuring the behavior of the software specific to your use, your individual use, not company use. Things like decimal points, keying them or not. When you hit an AP bill, you want to see the image of the AP bill pop right up on the screen. These are all configurations. My comment earlier about collaborate, this was the ability I've got turned on. Every client we see and we deploy with Sage Intacct turns on collaborate so that you could automatically get messages or see a log of questions that are in your queue you need to respond to. And here's one that I just clicked on here because I have three in this list of questions that have been posed to me I need to respond to, and it takes you right there. All right, so a little bit about navigation, then I'm going to jump into some workflow. If you notice, by the way, here are all the applications. So for those of you wondering what's in Sage Intacct, General Ledger, AP, Cash Management, AR, Jobs, Orders, which are contracts, AIA, Quick Bill invoices, purchase orders, inventory, Sage Payroll Sage Intacct Construction Payroll just came out, so that'll be on my menu any day now. We just also released Sage Intacct Property Management or Real Estate, so that's out too. So many of the applications that you're using today are available here as well. A little bit about navigation. If you notice, when you click on an application like this one, notice that you've got a plus to the left of the vendors. If you click the plus on any screen on any task, it just takes you right to add a vendor. If you go back and you click just vendors, now you're looking at a list view. My name is Bob, so I created Bob's view of a vendor list. Now, each of you could have a different set of columns turned on. Why is this relevant? Well, when you're looking at a list of vendors, perhaps you want to sort this right now by MBE status. There they are. Oh, I want to go edit a vendor. So very simple for you to modify the view of when you hit a screen, what's delivered, and then your ability when you hit that screen. Let's go back. When you hit this screen, what is it that you want to perhaps see? And you can have as many filters. But by the way, we need to clear that. You can not only, key a search in and then filter just for that. You might say, well, wait a minute, I just want to know in descending order who I owe money to, and then drill down into detail. Or click edit to edit the vendor. Now, a couple things about just the navigation look and feel again. Notice that this vendor list, simple navigation, easy to view, look to it, action buttons up top to the right. custom fields. And then if we move to like a customer screen, let's just do a list view. Notice that we have parent and parent and child relationships throughout the product. And you can go even layers below that if you wanted to. But if I click edit for the customer, same look and feel. If we go look at a job screen, again, a list view, parent, child, or in this case, job and sub-job. And if you click edit, the look and feel of the job setup screen, exactly like the others with custom fields. We had a client the other day said, hey, Bob, I want to automate the draw of a retainage. And I said, well, what triggers that? Well, when we have the water on, because they're a plumbing contractor, we want to automatically notify the accounting department to create the draw request for retainage. So that's an example of using a smart event and a tag to a custom field. Way more flexible than what we've ever done with software. For those of you that record estimates, I hope everyone does when you open up a job. Notice the screen here. I just went to the job and I said, hey, pop up and show me the estimate. The ability to edit this on the fly is a secured feature. Obviously, the ability to add right here or import an estimate is built into most of the screens. Now, here's the core estimate. And then as change requests are approved, they come in and change that estimate. So the original estimate was $12,900, $75,000 of change orders brings us up to 13.2 or 13 plus. So that's a little bit about just the master files. I want to move into, and there's so much more to cover, but I just want to move into a little bit about like workflow. A couple things that are just highlights. If you look at like an AP bill screen, let's just go enter an AP bill. AP bill, by the way, every screen, when you start typing into fields, it just pops up vendors with those characters keyed in. There's wildcards as well. Put a bill number on it. Every screen everywhere, oops, hang on. Every screen everywhere, you can do this. You could take, let's say I'm entering an AP bill and I just want to drag a document onto it. Just drag the image onto it. It indexes it to that specific bill, AP bill. When you open up that bill later, the image will just pop up. Now, when you enter an AP bill, you could just post it like you're used to. So let's just go ahead and pick a job. By the way, you don't have to hit lookups. You could just start keying in. So that's everywhere, by the way. I'll just pick a category and I'll just drop an amount in here, $500, and I'll click post and new. So I just posted the invoice real time, everything's updated, AP, GL, job cost. So that's real time processing. By the way, for those of you on 300, there's no new current history anymore. It's just a transaction database. Yes, we have accounting date and invoice date. Now that's an AP bill just entered with a drag and drop on it. Perhaps some of you are thinking, well, wait a minute. I want to make it even easier than that. I want to go to like purchase orders or subcontracts. And instead of entering anything or matching anything, we now have the ability to convert to a receipt or to an invoice. So this is a purchase order right here. I could view it, or I'm just gonna, for brevity here, just click it to an invoice. So with one click, we just converted a purchase order to an invoice. Now, you could, with the workflow abilities within the application, you could start with a requisition to a purchase order to a receipt, and a receipt to an invoice with just clicking. And then obviously when you do that, I know somebody just said, well, wait a minute. If I do that convert to an invoice, okay, let's just go back. So if I click convert to an invoice again on a purchase order, it just pulls everything in down below, so I can have two line items. You can come in here and edit it. So it's not as if you can't then edit that transaction after you've done the convert. Okay, again, action buttons. I hope everyone has noticed that. I want to show and talk about one more quick thing. I know we're coming up to, we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to just talk about other ways you can save time. So by the way, these workflows are all configurable. So by example, what do we mean by that? When we configure this, whether it's a contract that you're billing somebody, and it might start with a quote and then roll to a contract and then to an invoice. Those workflows on both the order side or the contract side, the billing side, as well as on the payable side, you could set up customizable workflows. And on each of those steps in that process we just went through, we configure that specific to how your organization is going to use that workflow and how it even impacts general ledger if you're going from a purchase order to a receipt. Maybe on receipt, we make accrued liability entries, or perhaps not, just the AP bill does. So a lot more configuration within Sage Intacct construction, which gives us just much better workflows conforming to specific business needs. All right, so a couple other highlights. Let's look at, it's kind of hard to believe in 2022, I'm showing bank accounts. It seems like it's pretty basic, but check this out. On a bank account, obviously for those of you that have Wellspring or Print Boss, because you print on blank check stock built into the application, you don't need a third-party product to do that. But what I really wanted to highlight here on the bank accounts is the ability for you to go into this banking cloud option, click connect, and on your bank account or your credit card, every credit card, you could have live feeds. So obviously all the big banks are here, but let's even just type in, I don't know, a common one on the island, Signature. So I'll say Signature Bank. Check this box, click continue. This aggregator pops up, which from there it would ask credentials. Once you achieve that connection, transactions will flow from Signature or Chase or TD Bank, whatever bank we connected to, and there are thousands of them. Transactions will flow every 4 hours into Sage Intacct, automatically reconciling those transactions with a set of rules that we'll help you configure. So that means that you will go from, I don't know, maybe an hour or two per bank account for reconciliation down to a couple minutes. Because really you'd only go in and any unmatched transactions, perhaps create those subledger entries to then match against. The same is true with credit cards. So that saves a tremendous amount of time. So just to recap, whether you're entering AP bills or entering AP bills against pre-built, predefined purchase orders, subcontracts, that workflow can be automatic. Now, when we talk about workflow, some of you might be saying, well, wait a minute, does that mean that we could potentially approve AP bills without having a Sage Paperless or TimberScan? Potentially. So by example, we just open up this other environment. If I go into AP bills, this environment, if I go into an AP bill entry screen, notice it says submit and new and not post. So you can enter the screen like we had before, maybe attach a document, click submit, goes to the PM or department person for review and approval, PM being the project manager or APM. They would then log into a dashboard and they would have in their dashboard a view of open invoices awaiting their approval. This is all built into the Sage Intacct product. Notice up top to the right, I've got these two invoices actually have attachments on them. So if you just click view on that invoice, I've enabled the feature to automatically display an image that's attached to that AP bill. And why I attached our bank account to this, I don't know, but that's an example. Now from here, I could approve in a bill or decline it. If you click decline, what's the reason you're declining it? So basic workflow built into the software. Sage just added in this year's releases R2, R3, and R4 AP bill automation, which now includes OCR, as well as AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning for looking at how bills have been coded prior with that vendor and helps code those bills prior to its path of approval. So in recap, I feel like this is like the New York Minute Sage Intacct demo. Sorry about the speed of which we delivered some information, but real-time project visibility through interactive dashboards, filters, drill downs, performance cards, highlighted key metrics, all so you could take advantage of what I was referring to earlier as dimensionalized data. Automated workflows that can save time while enforcing company policies through perhaps smart rules. And then software that's intuitive, easy to use. Hopefully everybody sees that because it's thoughtfully designed, but yet highly configurable. Every screen has got clear next steps This all adds up to a modern, state-of-the-art construction accounting solution. So, in closing, thank you for joining us today, and I hope everyone enjoys the holidays. Thank you.